Today in this documentary, we are going to be addressing the Volkswagen scandal. But before we dive into the details, let's brush up some concepts.
What is a responsible business? A responsible business is a company that operates efficiently and responsibly to meet customers' demands and explicitly considers impacts of their decisions on all stakeholders such as the community, customers, workforce, suppliers, and the environment, beyond any legal obligations. Furthermore, responsible businesses aim to follow the economic concept of the triple bottom line. Triple bottom line is a theory that claims if a company is profit-oriented, it cannot account for the full cost of business. Therefore, responsible businesses take elements of economic, that is to make sufficient profit to reinvest into the business. Social welfare in terms of supporting local communities. And the environment, for instance, using ethically sourced supplies that eventually make up the key sustainable objectives. So why is business responsibility crucial to success? To start, employees strive to work for an organization that they will be proud of. Thereby, firms adopting CSR will have access to a diversified pool of highly qualified employees. According to research carried out by Cone Communications, about 67% of young people will not work for a company with poor responsibility practices, clarifying that employee retention, motivation, and productivity will be boosted if responsibility is a priority. Secondly, responsible businesses have positive public relations stories, and rational customers are more willing to pay premium prices to support companies that are transparently keen to engage in societal impact, leading to brand loyalty. Lastly, responsible business activities like implementing energy-saving programs and less investment in pretentious advertising or packaging reduce the overhead costs and preserve the environment.
The Volkswagen Group, also called Volkswagen AG, a major German automobile manufacturer founded by the German government in 1937 to mass-produce a low-priced quote-unquote people's car. Headquarters are in Wolfsburg, Germany. The company was originally operated by the German Labour Front, a Nazi organization. The Austrian automotive engineer Ferdinand Porsche, who was responsible for the original design of the car, was hired by the German Labour Front in 1934. Fast forward, Volkswagen production expanded rapidly in the 1950s. The company introduced the Transporter van in the 1950 and the Karmann Coupe in 1955. Sales abroad were generally strong in most countries of export, but because of the car's small size, unusual rounded appearance, and historical connection to Nazi Germany, sales in the United States were initially sluggish. Now that's when the American advertising agency Doyle Dane was hired to represent the brand in 1959. The result was a landmark advertising campaign that helped to popularize the car as the Beetle, along its size and design as an advantage to the consumer. The campaign was a success. The Beetle was for many years the most popular imported car in the US.
In 1972, VW produced its 15,007,034th Beetle. According to its makers, this made it the most produced automobile of all time, breaking the 45-year-old record set by the famous Model T Ford.
Furthermore, every fourth car in Europe is affiliated with the Volkswagen brand. It was the world's largest automaker by sales, overtaking Toyota and keeping this title in 2017, 18, and 19, selling well over 10.9 million vehicles worldwide. Moreover, the Volkswagen Group also sells passenger cars under their subsidiary brands Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, Porsche, to name a few. Volkswagen also has light commercial vehicles under the Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles brand, motorcycles under the Ducati brand.
How did the defeat devices inserted in the Volkswagen cars start a scandal? The Volkswagen scandal started when a few models that were manufactured between the years 2009 up until 2015 were said to be using a defeat device. This device was used to make the air that was produced from the cars seem clean, when in reality it wasn't. Usually, cars that have computers inserted in them use these computers to help regulate the performance of the engine. That helps make sure the exhaust pipe is not releasing any extra waste. However, the Volkswagen diesel cars that had a defeat device inserted inside of them used it to make the car seem like it was meeting certain emissions expectations when it actually wasn't. What actually happened was the Volkswagen diesel cars had a NOx trap inserted inside of them. A NOx trap is a device that works well only when a certain amount of fuel is being burnt. Therefore, the cars would use way more fuel during the emission tests, leading to normal results. However, once you take the car outside and you start using it, the device would switch off, resulting in less fuel being burnt, which leads to a greater amount of pollution. How would the car detect that it was being observed, you might ask? The Environmental Protection Agency from the US believes that there is a system that recognizes the speed of the car, the direction of the steering wheel, and so on. This leads us to believe that Volkswagen did this on purpose. This only makes their case that much more serious, which led their CEO Martin Winterkorn to step down from the company.
So what did Volkswagen actually do? What made them prey to the dangerous term of being an irresponsible business? 2014 was the year of Volkswagen's downfall. In a bid to become the world's #1 automaker, the company decided to take an unlawful route. Volkswagen rigged diesel emissions tests in the sense that they developed a deceitful software which detected when and where the car was being used. Evidently, when the cars were being tested in laboratories, the software enabled the emissions suppression in the car to work efficiently, whereas on the other hand, when the cars were driven on the road, the suppression was turned off, leading to 11 million cars emitting 40% more of nitrogen oxide into the air than the legal limits set by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. This alarmingly high level of pollution, which affects our breathing air, was detected by the engineers of the University of West Virginia.
German prosecutors have charged Volkswagen's former CEO, Martin Winterkorn, with serious fraud. That's over his part in the diesel emissions cheating scandal that engulfed Volkswagen and other car makers. Winterkorn is the first auto company boss to be charged over the scandal in Germany.
Inevitably, with further investigation, car models like the Beetle, the Jetta, Passat, Audi A3 and more were found to be spewing the mortal pollutant. Emitted nitrogen oxide causes danger to human lives and leads to triggers such as asthma, respiratory illnesses, cardiovascular disease, bronchitis, and premature death. So one can only imagine the consequences of this irresponsible behavior. Investigations from the US spread out to other Volkswagen outlets in the European Union. Volkswagen was thus exposed, and the company's ongoing issues were made into breaking news headlines.
I'll be talking about the immediate and long-term impacts of the responsible action by the stakeholders. As a multinational corporation, the implication of the scandal determines the fate of numerous stakeholders, both internal and external. Internal stakeholders comprise of the board managers and employees, while external stakeholders subsume shareholders, customers, and suppliers. Common shareholders, once not involved in the day-to-day running of the business, placed faith and belief in the firm by providing capital and have suffered severe economic losses in the form of share prices. Despite the callous deception in advertising, the defeat device displayed no signs of distributing vehicle performance. However, customers of Volkswagen and its subsidiary vehicles suffer from lower resale values.
So to conclude, the company indulged in fraud. It was quite evident from the start that Volkswagen knew what it was doing all along. 11 million customers were affected directly, and the environmental impact is unimaginable. In the long run, the company has now appointed new members in senior management. Their value has dropped significantly, and the company has incurred massive losses over the years. The case is still ongoing, and Volkswagen is now a popular ethics case, but not in a good way.